All right, so we're live. Welcome to another Run Wild with Us. You know what? Ask us anything. I'm Lisa Kastner. I'm the founder and executive editor of Running Wild and Rise Presses, and I'm here with you on Thursdays between 5 and 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 and 9 p.m. Eastern Time to answer whatever questions you may have. Typically, I'm here with a few of my amazing acquisition editors, specifically Ben White and Peter Wright. And so, fingers crossed they'll join us today. If not, it's all good. I'm always good to answer whatever questions you may have. If you do have questions, it's really super simple to send me your questions. All you have to do is go to the comments section of whatever venue you're in, whether it is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and just pop them in that chat. And I will be sure to read that question and then respond to it. Usually when I'm here with some of our other editors, we take turns in answering the question, just because I've got an opinion doesn't mean I'm right. It just means it's my opinion. So it's always good to hear everyone's perspective on the different questions that come up. It's also really, really great for considering we all have very different backgrounds. And so we all kind of bring a unique flavor to whatever question you have. I want to apologize for not being around last week. So I actually do, I have a day job. And last week I had to travel, which what would normally be all of a half-hour drive. And I hit such wicked traffic. It took about 2 hours for me to get home, which is pretty crazy in my opinion. But I also must admit that since COVID, the traffic patterns in California, at least Southern California, have been ape. I mean, they have been crazy. I can literally get in my car and a nav will say, it'll take 15 minutes to get to whatever. And within 5 minutes of me being in my car, the time will double. Sometimes the time will triple. Other times it'll shoot down. And it's not really normal. There isn't a pattern to it. So it's not like I can say, okay, well, I just won't, I won't leave my house between 5 and 6 p.m. or I won't leave my house, between 7 and 8 a.m. It's just crazy. So anyway, I'm so sorry. I heard I worried some people. I apologize. I didn't mean to worry anybody. It's all good. So again, in the meantime, if you have any questions, again, just toss them into the comments section or the chat of whatever venue you may be watching this. Now, some really kind of cool things that I have to report on. So one, we actually announced yesterday a new strategic partnership with Monstrous Books. I've got to tell you guys something. I am a huge fan of James. He is the founder and executive editor and author for Monstrous Books. And I am a huge fan of his work with Monstrous Books. So when the opportunity came, and I'm putting into the chat, so in case you're not familiar with Monstrous, you can check it out. The stories are fun, really well written, super clever. I mean, you really have a really great time reading them. So if you do have a chance to check out any of the titles with Monstrous, definitely go for it. And oh my gosh, Ben decided to join us. Yay!
Yeah, I was wondering, so I thought I'd come on in.
Well, thank you. So how you doing, young man? What's new and exciting in the world of Ben?
Well, actually, when I came upstairs, one of the associate deans said, "Call me." So I was on with her. So there's always something.
Wait, so the second you actually got online, You got a call saying, call me?
Well, when I came upstairs where my phone was, I saw where she had called.
Whoops.
Yeah, but it was just a easily answered question.
Oh, good. We like those.
Yes.
Those are much more enjoyable than the uh-oh.
Yeah, I usually get.
Yeah, but I'm sure you manage them, you take care of them without any kind of difficulty.
Yeah, you learn from those.
Cool.
But other than that, just this week you got some capacity to do some editing. I'm almost done with the Autistic Ghost Stories collection.
Nice.
Ready to send it to the author. I'm going to go through it. So I got another 70 pages, I think. And then I'll send it to her as I go through it again. And I go back and forth whether I need to cut some stuff or not.
Oh, okay. What do you think? Like, what's causing the variation?
The story, they're short stories, but they really read like short novelettes.
Oh,
Which is okay, and that's what keeps me from touching them, because it's not the way I would write a short story, but so what? It's the way she writes a short story, so it's working. It's just sometimes it needs to be tightened up just a little, but I don't think it's hacked out as much as I was anticipating.
Oh, I see. Oh,
yeah.
Good.
Because and especially you go through. As a short story, you go through and say, okay, where's this going to go? What's the purpose of this? And then do you need this? Why am I reading all of this? What's this got to do with anything? And then, okay. Yeah, it does fit.
Yeah.
So I may be reading it too much as an editor and not as just to sit back and say, okay, let me see where this story is going to take me.
Ah, got it. Well, I mean, and to your point, sometimes those are super fun because there's details being provided that in the moment it's like, why is this here? And then you get to a point and you're like, oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And a lot of background to get to the actual action and the short story. But that's why I'm saying it's like a mini novelette for each one, because they're coming in about 20 pages, at least 20 pages a piece for a short story.
Oh, okay, cool.
But it's it's good. We're almost there. Awesome. And then I have the anthology waiting. We've got 20 stories, I think, with the one we picked up this week. With the one that was a communication issue that we went back to 21 and picked up.
Got it. But it's all good, right? It's not a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We got there.
Wait a minute. What did I miss? Oh, I didn't miss it. Was it me?
No, I was just like, And then when you pointed out, like, hey, we actually accepted this like 2 years ago, I'm like, wait, what? Oh, oops.
The contract wasn't signed till now. So it was, and of course, it still said it was for Rise. And so, well, if you don't mind it going into Running Wild Press anthology, I got room. We can make it happen.
Right.
And she said, yes, let's do it.
Yeah, she was just happy. So.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I'm so super behind on writing War Dogs, but it's because the last few weeks have been all about finalizing the deal with Monstrous Books and being in this program for small businesses it's sponsored by the Los Angeles Urban League. Well, actually the Urban League. And so I have to take, there are classes I have to attend twice. Actually, I'm in two different programs with the LA Urban League. But one is for a full year and the other is for I think it's 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And the 8-week one is the one where at the end of it, I pitch to investors and banks to get, it can be like it could be for funding, it could be for actual investors. It can also just be to introduce us to them and then say, hey, I'd love to follow up with you on what are what opportunities there are. And so I pulled together the presentation, and me being me, meaning a big ass wuss, I was like, I could go big, right? Like I know everything that we need, right? And like where I want us to go and where I know we can be, right? And I can ask to fund at that level, right? Which would basically mean like you, me, Evangeline's already full time, but like Peter, Cody, I thought Amy Hardy would be great full time, and Joelle, and then bring on board someone for as like a CFO, someone as a head of marketing, and someone as a head of operations, because I know those are the three roles we desperately need.
Yes.
I mean, because we can only get so far. I mean, it's one thing to know what you're talking about, and it's another thing to have the time to actually do it.
Sure.
Right?
Yes.
So I think we've got some amazing people who could perform these functions, but they would need to be paid, which I agree with. It's just that right now we're not, but it's like a chicken and egg thing, right? Do you have the money to pay the people, or do you, or do they come on board, and then you can increase your sales and you can increase everything and get it much more like stabilized operationally. And then they get paid. So anyway, so from what I heard, the presentation's really solid. I do the presentation on Tuesday, and I get to pick whoever I want to pitch to. So I was gonna actually print out the deck so I have something to like actually hand to them. But what I want to do is give them like, all right, so this is baseline. I need funding for marketing, right? But I also know exactly what I just described, right? We need these roles to really have a real solid focus on these things so that we can then go to the next level, right? And kind of see how they respond to that. Because we were gifted enough to have, I think it was 3 of the banks are already talked to us, and a few of the investors already talked to us as well, and told us like this is what they normally look for, and all that kind of thing. So yeah, so it kind of like helped prime us for what we need to have before we walk in the door. So anyway, so that's I've been trying to like every time I think, okay, now I can refocus on whatever, then like I have to then work on contracts with some of our some of the authors that we made offers to, right? Or I have to follow up with some of the books that I'm editing, or I have to go and work on stuff for the different classes I'm taking, and the different things I have to attend, and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so I'm not as behind as I was. I'm really thankful for Thanksgiving when I had nothing. Like I didn't have to be anywhere and I didn't have to do anything. So I just like knocked stuff out. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday was called me sleeping in and eating junk food. And I mean, turkey's great, but hey, and just not well, yeah, and just knocking stuff out. So
yes.
Don says, "Hey guys, very cool about Monstrous Books and Running Wild. Thank you, Don. I mean, we really are super excited. I'm lucky enough. I know John, fabulous. I know James from. So James is also one of the editors for Weird Tales. And I've written a few pieces for Weird Tales. I've written an essay and I've written a short story, and I'm actually staged to write another short story in the in 2025, and he and I have kind of like worked together here and there, and we were basically talking about Ben, what you and I just basically talked about, right? Like, where are our weak points, where are our strong points, and then it became obvious that we could really help each other out, you know. And I just said to him, like, well, I don't want anybody getting screwed, so I want to make let's just put it in a contract where it's clear, you know, because I don't my worry was that we would he would be hesitant to make a deal because there may be a perception that we would have some kind of creative control, and that's not the intent of it, at least from my perspective at all.
Our creativity's out of control.
Well, we got enough going on, right? Like, well, and I really didn't want anybody on our leadership team, and this is not me pointing fingers at all. Like, I'm not, nothing like that, but I didn't want anybody to have any misunderstanding that, you know, this was, again, like us basically taking over Monstrous Books. No. This is definitely a partnership, right? So, but yeah, no, it should be, it really should be a whole lot of fun. So that said, I fully expect that a bunch of our authors are going to come to me, and our editors are going to come to me saying, hey, can I get published with Monstrous Books? Because they're really cool. And I'm just going to point you to James, because
that's the way you see it working with titles that we may not have room for or may not fit. We have that option to send to them, and vice versa.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah.
I mean, he may have he has a couple of very distinct brands that he publishes, and he just started a new graphic novel series based on. Do you remember Kolchak, the detective?
Vampire Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yep, he got the rights to reboot the Kolchak series.
Okay.
So, you know, I mean, he's doing some really, I think, some really, really super cool stuff. You know, so, you know, it just comes down to like, finding out is this something that he's interested in working in? You know, so.
Works.
Yeah, totally. It totally works. So, but yeah, and honestly, I actually I've been so underwater in terms of stuff going on. I ended up having to give myself like a mental break. Like, it's okay. Because like my day would end and I would have done maybe 60 or 70% of in my head I thought I was going to be able to accomplish. And then I'm like, wait a minute, it's the holidays, first of all.
Yeah.
So for anybody during the holidays, there's always so much more going on that you could ever anticipate. You know, you're not going to get done nearly as much as you would normally be able to get done. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, so, and I'm almost done all the contracts for our last round of acquisitions.
Yeah.
Oh, and I sent, so we notified, for those who may not be aware, we actually sponsor an award with Drexel University. We're also going to announce another partnership with a college in the near future. I think that announcement comes out in I want to say January. But anyway, so when we looked over the submissions for the Drexel Award, so the Drexel Award is basically open to all students and alumni with Drexel University for them to submit any kind of full-length fiction. So it could be a short story collection, it could be a novel, you know, whatever. And there were 3. The winner gets a contract, a standard contract with us. Well, when we went through the works, there were actually 3 that we thought were really solid, and that, like, if this was a normal acquisition, we would have we would have acquired all three. So I went back and I took, so you know, we told the one lovely gentleman that he won, and then the two that were runners up, I took them back to my acquisition leads, and I said, all right, do me a favor, check these out and let me know, like, if this was a normal day, is this something that you would acquire? And everyone basically came back and said yes to both, but if I had to pick one, I'd pick this one, you know, or whatever. And I thought, you know what, let's just acquire them all, because all three authors seem very, I mean, obviously they're talented, but a lot of it, I mean, so much of it comes down to, are you willing to work with your editor? And I know that sounds weird, right? I actually had an author who we had sent a contract to recently ask me about, like, why do we, on our copyright page, why do we acknowledge the editor? And I said, because the reality is, often, you know, if you talk to some of the biggest names in publishing, right, some of the biggest authors, they all, I would say almost all, talk about the fact that the real game changer for them was they found an editor that it fit, right? And it was someone who was able to take, not only take their work and elevate it, but oftentimes was able to identify for them what exactly it was that was missing in their piece or in their work. And once they were able to connect those dots, you know, all of a sudden they started, you know, winning awards and, you know, selling out, and, you know, people were, you know, demanding their storytelling. And so I wanted to make sure that the editors were acknowledged for what they did, you know, I mean, and, you know, and all that, all it is it says edited by, you know, so-and-so. So, you know, again, all three authors who, you know, were finalists, and then, you know, obviously eventually won, because I notified them this morning that they won. You know, they were all just really eager and excited to work with one of our editors. So to me, that made it a no-brainer, right? It just meant we had to accept them all. So yes. So other than the fact that you're almost done editing, what else is going on? And is there anything that you want to talk about or bring up or whatever?
Let's see. I got a creative nonfiction piece picked up for an anthology about New Year's.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they weren't looking for a creative nonfiction, but I squeezed it through. And so they took it. But,
wait, does that mean you didn't tell them it was creative nonfiction?
Well, I kind of said, well, this kind of really happened. It may not be the genre you're looking for, but it really happened. But it's Alien Buddha Press. They're putting an anthology out, and I've worked with them before. So I said, you know, I've been rejected before. You can reject it if you don't want it. But he said, no, this works.
Okay.
And so that's coming out with them. They've got the best of 2024 is coming out. I've got a poem in that anthology as well from Alien Buddha Press. In January 4th, my 9th book is coming out.
Wow.
It's kind of like a sequel to God is an Atheist, because I'm still not solid on the banned book list yet. So I wrote The Sins of God. And,
you just keep going for it. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's going to pay off one way or the other. But I've got there's a trilogy. I've got the other one written. I just haven't shopped it yet. But,
what would the third one be? So
I'm not going to tell you.
What is it, like Mary Mary told them to kiss off. Is it?
it's Jesus is an infidel.
Well, I mean, it's accurate. You know?
Yeah, it's my effort to get on the banned book list.
Well, you got to keep working it, man.
You got to keep working. That's where the money is,
right?
But,
that would be hilarious if suddenly it was like you're banned and then it's just selling out everywhere.
No, not only on the unknown list, I'm on the banned list.
That's awesome. Well, you would go from unknown to banned to like global bestseller, right?
All on the same day.
All on the same day, man. That's exactly it. Don says, I just finished Amy's Pocket Full of Teeth and I'm working on a review. Great book. I am so glad. I had so much fun editing Pocket Full of Teeth with Amy. And it was funny I still remember when we had the acquisition session, when we were going over Pocket Full of Teeth. And at the time, our acquisition team was split, right? Half of us said, well, let's try it. And the other half was like, meh, I don't know. I think she could probably do another round. So I was like, look, I'll edit it. And, behind the scenes, guys, pretty much if anyone on my team says, look, I volunteer right now to be the one to edit it, then it's just accept it, right? Because if you're passionate enough about the work, then and you're willing to be the one to put your money where your mouth is, right? Then we go, all right, it's all you then. And I remember I was going through it and I thought, okay, she and I, we need to sit down because there are certain things that it was one of those that thematically there were parts to it, both from a craft perspective as well as from a narrative perspective, that she needed to figure out. I'll just put it that way. Yeah. And actually she talked about it one day when she came on this weekly and had mentioned and said, Lisa sat me down and was like, okay, there are certain things you need to figure out. And so, like, who is writing this? You're writing this from, in some cases, second person, and in some cases, first person. But the point of view is kind of, shifting around. So who is it? And I still remember the live stream when she and I sat down and she just looked at me like, holy shit, I don't know. And I was like, all right, it's not, not that it's not a big deal, but like, I get it. Right. Yeah. So think about what you want to know. Right. It's okay not to know right now, but you're going to figure it out. Right. Yeah. And we'll figure it out together. And that's exactly what we did. And it was a completely different novel when she was done. But she made it happen, so
I actually have it to read. It's next.
Oh yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah, I do have it. I've got a copy downstairs, and I've got to get through Silva's Portrait of an Unknown Woman, and then it's Pocket Full of Teeth.
Very cool. Yeah, it was definitely one that when I was finished reading it, like for the final revision, when you're just like proud, yeah, like yes, I was part of this. Yeah. So, Rodney,
I was one of the ones that said yes.
That's true.
Not a short story, so I knew the type of writer she was and is, and so it was. I was behind that one, especially now that we did it. So, oh yeah, that was me all the way.
Oh yeah, that's me. No, I mean, I remember when you were editing it for the anthology, her short story for the anthology, and you were like, all right, this one, she's going somewhere, you know? So, Rodney Hatfield asks, what's the lowdown on the new venture with Monstrous Books? Honestly, Rodney, I've known James for a while. I've had a chance to work with him. So James is the founder and executive editor of Monstrous Books, and I knew from us talking in different venues that there are areas that we're weak in that Monstrous is strong in, and there are areas that Monstrous is strong in that we could definitely use some uplift. And so it only just seemed like a natural fit for us to join forces. So just really excited about it. And and then over the next couple months, I'm sure James and I are going to sit down and figure out, okay, like, so how can we, best, uplift each other. And I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I am a big fan of Monstrous Books. I mean, I just think it's really smart and clever and well-written stories that you may not necessarily see in mainstream, but there's no reason for it in my opinion. It may just be one of those that it's like, we don't know what to do with this. Actually, I'm banking that's it, right? Like, this is freaking awesome, but we don't know what to do with this. Like, where do you sell this? But yeah, definitely very cool. And also James also is he's one of the editors for Weird Tales, and that's actually one of the places where I first worked with James. He actually edited one of my short stories for Weird Tales, and like I said, it just seemed to be a really nice natural fit. So yeah, really looking forward to it. It should be very, very cool. So yeah, so we seem to be surrounded by incredibly brilliant and talented people. So
around me.
Yeah. Yeah, they allow me to be in their presence.
Imposter. To be around the imposters.
Yeah, hey, someone's got to be an imposter. It may as well be me. Yes. All right, we need to find. I need to know where Peter is, because that young man, his tushy, he needs to show up more frequently. I'm just saying. I'm looking to see if sometimes he loses the link, but nope, he hasn't messaged me, so that means he was not planning on coming. I just feel completely dejected right now. I'm just saying.
He was worried about you last week.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I seriously, I was explaining before you came on. So I had to go into the office on Thursday, and I would get in my car, and normally the commute's all of like a half hour, right? Not so bad. And I was in my car for like 10 minutes, and it went from a 40-minute estimate to a 2-hour estimate. And I was like, oh my God. I left my house so early in the morning. I left my house a half hour early in the morning, and I ended up 15 minutes late for my first meeting, right? And then I left the office with like 10 minutes to spare, and I think I got home a half hour. I think I didn't get home until like 5:40, something like that. So yeah. It was and it's funny because everyone I work with, they're all like, oh, ever since COVID, that's just how it is. I'm like, that's not good. like there are a few people who are talking about they don't like if they have to go into the office, they won't actually go home until like 7 o'clock at night because that by then like traffic will break up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, okay. Because they're talking about coming into the office at like 7 in the morning. So that they're there for like 12 hours at least.
Yeah.
Like, whoo. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. But I logged on. I just figured that I missed it. It got canceled, and I missed the notice. But then Peter texted me and said, "Did we have the call today?" I said, "Oh, if he was looking for the call, I didn't miss it. It just we missed Lisa. That's what we missed."
Oh no, I sent an email out letting you guys know, so I guess it hit spam or something. But yeah. Because as soon as my morning commute was that bad, I was like, oh, there's no way I'm gonna make tonight's call. So I was like, all right, I'll just have to cancel it. So
it's just good to know that we went into search and rescue mode to find you.
Well, thank you. I'm honored that I'm searchable or rescuable. I don't know. And my cat was also freaking out. She was like, ah! My mom hasn't been here. Don McIntyre says, I had a horribly long commute for many years. Then I was thrilled to be able to work remotely for 4.5 years. And now I've lost that job and not sure where I'll end up. It's so funny, Don. As soon as COVID hit, this is another one. I still remember when we went on global lockdown for COVID, because a dear friend of mine was the manager of the gym that I used to go to at work, and she stopped me in the first thing in the morning. She was like, "Heads up, this is about to go down, right? Like there's about to be this global pandemic." So I then went in Lisa mode, which means I just researched the hell out of everything because I'm that nerd. And I looked it up, and it was the shortest pandemic before COVID. I think it was 10 years or something like that. And I'm like, well, it's going to be at least 5, right? Even with any scientific discoveries and all that, right? There's no way this is only going to be a couple of months, right? So I thought, well, this will be interesting to see how things, go in terms of, commutes and stuff. The number of companies that, realized, oh, I guess we don't actually need to have everybody here 24 all the time. It's a lot. So, but I mean, some are shifting some, right? Where you have to be a couple days a week. How's it at a university level been? How's that been working?
We shifted over pretty quick because we had online courses anyway. So it was just a matter of making it all online. And then, of course, we all got to be experts on Zoom. And that worked. You lose a lot of energy on not in the classroom, because you may not realize this, but I am much more lifelike in person.
Are you?
Yes.
No way.
Yes.
You don't just
we're coming out of it. I think the students are more interested in coming back to the classroom than the instructors are. We've got an issue trying to get the instructors back to face-to-face classes.
I can see that.
Yeah. But the students, they went through high school on Zoom, and they're ready to get back in a classroom and feel the energy and the socialization and the learning. I mean, you can learn online, of course. Sometimes the instructor it has to do different things because it's not live, and more discussions, more interaction that you have to do than you would even in face-to-face classes. Interaction throughout the week, and so it was a challenge, and a lot of times we saw a lot of instructors who were in a comfort zone that they didn't want to get out of, and now they don't want to go back.
Oh,
It's not another comfort zone. Well, what do we do now?
Well, what do you prefer? Do you prefer? Do you care?
I would rather be face to face ultimately, but I don't mind the mix, a 50-50 mix, or 60-40 face to face mix, but because I know that the online option is great for the working adult or the parent, the ones who need more flexibility. They can log in anytime, and I don't mind teaching those because that's where I just interact more and make sure that they know they know I exist. I'm here.
You're real?
Real.
No way.
But it's coming back. I had 3 face-to-face out of my 5 classes this what are we in, fall? The semesters get all jumbled up. I don't know what time of year.
I'm like, is there a winter anymore? I don't think it is, or is it? It's just fall, right? And then you go right in the okay.
You have 2 seasons out there, fire and flood.
That's awesome. It has been it's for Southern California, it's been about 10 degrees cooler than it normally is in the winter.
Yeah.
So like in the mornings this week, it's been it's like low, super low 40s, and actually like 40 to 45 degrees. And so normally I do a morning walk. I basically do 5K, a little less than 5K, so I knock out some kind of exercise. And I don't want to go out walking it in 40-degree weather.
That's not civilized.
No, that's not. Who does that? That's crazy. So I've been putting it off until like the afternoon, giving myself an excuse to go get an iced tea or something somewhere, So at least it's in the high 50s to low 60s by like noon, 1 o'clock, something like that. But yeah. And it sounds so weird, even me hearing me say these things, because I'm from New Jersey, Philadelphia area. Like I grew up, the teens were not unheard of.
Yeah.
And it used to be fun to get all snuggled up in a big old poofy coat and a hat and gloves and all that, and then finding an excuse to have a nice fireplace going and all that kind of stuff. And now it's like, I just want a blanket. I don't want to go outside. You people are crazy. Well, guys, don't forget, you've only got us for like 17 more minutes, and I'm being generous by giving you 17 whole minutes. So don't forget, if you've got
on your mind.
Yeah, just tell us. Just go ahead, toss your questions, whatever comments into the comments section of wherever you are, and we will be more than happy to respond to those comments and questions. I'm trying to think, if anything came up in the last couple weeks that you guys might find interesting or we may want to address.
We got down along Highway 90.
Okay.
That's actually a collection of poetry by me.
Okay. Oh, that's true. And
published by Lisa.
of course. Well,
It's
duh.
yeah, it's one of them is the Conley Bottom book that I felt like I needed to get shelter for because the publishers disappeared. I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
know how long that book's going to be available.
that's
So,
true.
but then added two more collections into one collection to make it South Central Kentucky specific. So
Hmm.
you can get all your South Central Kentucky information in one spot now.
And we know you've been waiting for it.
Yeah.
So
Yes. And actually, I worked with Emir a little bit this week. We traded some ideas for the illustrations on
oh, that's
the
right.
cover illustration and throughout. So he's working on it. He said, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I got time now. I'm going to start working on it." So
Actually,
here's my ideas. Take these and do what you will.
that is one question I get a lot about like our covers. So we work explicitly with Emir, and we started actually that relationship with him and his cover design company. Gosh, what was it, like 6 years ago, something like that?
Well, at least, yeah. Because
Yeah.
he did the Recon trilogy. That was 21. That's
Oh,
3 years.
yeah.
But I think he was doing covers for us back
For a
to
while.
the Faith Machine and
Mhm.
Heather Finch.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds right. I
2018, 2017.
yeah, I think we found each other. Yeah, I think it was like 2018 because we had only been around since 2016. It had only been a couple of years, and it just seemed like a natural fit. Another one that just seemed like a natural fit, and what's great about Amir is like he really gets what our stories are about, and he's really super flexible. And typically what happens is we submit to Amir not only the book itself, but also like concept ideas for the covers, and he'll come back, and he's very open to tweaking cover designs. Um, yeah, and
I think
now,
you did Don's book. Don, did he do the Paper Pirate? I think he
yeah,
did that cover.
yeah, he did Don's book. Yep. Um, I'm just looking up now, like how many books we've actually put out there. I want to say at this point we're probably around 170 titles, something like that. Um, well, with IPG, our distributor, we have 221 active, but that includes everything that we've got going out in 2025. So so yeah, so it's probably around 100, around 170, something like that. So Don says I loved it, and I got a lot of compliments on it. That's just so wonderful, Don. Seriously, I mean, that I'd say that's one thing we get a lot of compliments on, especially is the cover design. Oh, actually, so that's something interesting for those of you who are watching. If you're an author or a publisher, I was actually I did a book signing at Dark Delicacies, which is this amazing like pop culture, um, what I'd lovingly call like B movie, like horror movie uh, uh, bookstore, right? I mean, but all the books that they have are, horror, sci-fi, fantasy. And the owners, Dell and Sue, are going to be retiring soon. They're in their 70s, and they're like, you know what? It's enough. I'm tired. I want to just go and enjoy my grandkids, But one thing that Dell was telling me was that if you have a cover design done, um, believe it or not, glossy is not what attracts the eye. Like when you've got it, the book cover facing outward, it's actually the matte design, because what happens is when glossy is facing outward, and the light hits it, you can't actually see the cover, right? It bounces the light off. But with matte, a matte design, then it attracts the eye because it's not, the light's not bouncing off of it, which I thought was actually really great advice. And he actually commented as well on how much they enjoy our covers, because they're simple enough that it gives you an idea of the story itself. And we typically usually try to have at least one quote, so that if you are a reader and you're curious what the story's about, you'll at least get an idea of the kind of story it is from that cover quote. So but yeah, I don't know, I just thought that was, again, me being the nerd that I am.
Well, you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but if you do, it's good to have a good cover.
That's right. Don says your covers are memorable, which is important. Thank you, Don. Yeah, I mean, seriously, although Amir is also a smart ass, because when it became clear we were putting out our anthologies every year, and I was like, I don't know, I'm like, just make a cover. I don't know, it's an anthology. It's got a little bit of everything, for a little while. Basically, the cover would always have a redheaded chick on it, but like, holding a book like this, or, so like something where you can't see the face, but it's clear whoever the female is has long red hair. And I was like, all right, look, you need to stop.
Once you caught on.
Yeah, once I caught on after the 20th time, finally. Little smart ass. That's fine. Now all of them are the covers will be someone with some kind of like funky hat or something. Like, that would be hilarious. But I also got to go. So we were the first to publish a really fantastic author. I'm totally gonna say her name wrong. Elle Jaffro, I believe. She can kill me later because I'm sure she's watching this right now and she wants to beat me up, and that's fine. But she is. We published a dark fiction short story of hers, which was, it was gorgeous. It was complex. It was literary, but with a really great narrative. And she just put out the first in a 3-part mystery series. And her book launch was on Saturday, and it was totally sold out. I am so incredibly happy for her. They literally sold out of all the books that day. And anybody who's watching, that is so rare. That really just shows, it demonstrates her talent. It demonstrates her ability. It demonstrates it. And she is just genuinely a phenomenal human being. So, I want to say, if not everyone, I believe everybody who came there knew her, or had at least heard of her, and were just so overwhelmed by how wonderful she is as a human being, that it was like, well, of course I'm going to go to her, book signing. Like, why would I not? So huge congratulations to Elle. You guys, that's another one that you're going to have to pick up. I'm looking up a link to her title now, so that I can share it with you. And like I said, she, again, gorgeous writing. I know she's going to have an absolutely amazing career. She's absolutely more than earned it. Her name is Elle Jaffro. Again, I know I'm completely butchering it. The book is called Threads of Deception. And let me get you a link to it so that you can pick it up for yourself. But yeah, actually, as far as I'm aware, all of the book signings she's had so far have all just totally sold out. Again, and it's a really, really cool concept. The primary character in it gets into an accident and suddenly speaks French whenever she's stressed out, basically. So what's cool about it is that it's a mystery. It's also fun. It's funny, and she's able to bring forward some really interesting moments that people may not think of, that are inherent in our American culture, when someone's different, or if they come from again, they come from another country. So like one thing she had mentioned was like she's actually a lawyer by trade, and so she would submit short stories or pieces or whatever, and when she would meet people in person, they were shocked that she had written it, because she's she was actually born and raised in France, and so she still has a French accent. And so I guess their assumption was that, well, it's impossible that someone who is not did not originate in the United States, how could they be able to write this well? Well, you learn. Duh.
I would argue that there's a lot of people from America who speak English as their first language who can't write so well.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of that.
But like I said, anything you want to know about South Central Kentucky is available now. I overcame it.
Well, I mean, and you worked at it. I'm absolutely positively sure.
I can slide back into it pretty easy if I'm not careful.
I grew up in Camden, New Jersey, which is not a very it's quite an urban location. Let's just put it that way. And I remember when I now, and mind you, I was in all of the advanced classes. Like I was in the way the public school system worked was, at the beginning of every the end of every school year, you had to go through an intelligence test, basically, right, to see where you'd score. And I always scored in the top like 1% or 2% or some bullshit, whatever. And so then you're put in like, the academically talented classes. Well, I still remember when I started going to school I'd earned a scholarship to a college preparatory school. Oh my God, Ben, some of those classes, I was just like, I thought the homework would never end. Like I was so underwater, but it's just because the expectations of the students in a private school, that's college preparatory, is very different from a school where they're thinking like, well, you're just going to work at McDonald's anyway, so who gives a shit, right? Like, so you never know who's going to actually get their sentence structure correct.
I was just a good guesser.
Yeah, why not? And then eventually you grew into the guessing, I guess.
Yeah. I remember what I guessed last time. I'm going to do that again.
Actually, that's exactly what I did. I remembered what ones I knew I got wrong, and I remembered what the multiple choices were. And so then I would go and look up the right answers. And then the next time we had to take the test again, that's, and I would blow through it because I remembered, like, yep. Because oftentimes it would be like the same questions, but in a different order. Like it was, anyone who grew up in the United States and went to public school, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So. Anyway, well, I guess, guys, you've got us for like a minute. So if you've got any questions, again, go ahead and toss it into the comments section. And if you're watching and you're watching the recording, because we post the recordings on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, feel free to go ahead and toss your question into the comment section, because I actually do check it during the week. And I'll be sure that we answer or respond to your questions during the week. So, and with that, Don says, thanks, guys. Have a good night and have a great week. Good week. Don, thank you. As always, it is absolutely wonderful to see you. Everyone who's joined us, it's fabulous to see you as well. And I just hope you have a wonderful time during this upcoming holiday-ish weekend. And with that, we'll see you next week. Cool.